Welcome everyone to a review of Beast of Reincarnation. So I'm not going to do my full edited, polished review like I do for some of the games on the channel. Mainly because I'm not feeling this one 100%. I did like parts of it. There are certain things that really needed to be fixed in this to be a good game. I'd say it's an okay game. So I'm going to hop into New Game Plus as we talk. We're going to show just some of the opening scene. I'm not going to give too many spoilers. Something to call out right there is playtime at 53 hours from my first playthrough is not accurate at all. Something's going on with their playtime recorder. I think it actually records when you're doing rest mode inside Xbox, if you will. So when you don't fully shut down the game, it's still counting if you don't back out of your save back to the main screen. Because when you look at my actual playtime on the game itself from the Xbox interface or from the recordings, because I recorded the entire playthrough, it's more like 25 to 30 hours. Let's hop in. So what is Beast of Reincarnation? It is not a Souls-like. There's been a lot of confusion online. It was never advertised as a Souls-like, but it was certainly thought of as a Souls-like just from some of the action and the scenes that people had seen before. I think anytime you have giant bosses, challenging combat, and a parry system, people automatically slap Souls-like on it, but this is not a Souls-like. Just having a parry system and some good combat and some big bosses does not make something a Souls game. You die and you don't lose any of your stuff. There's very little leveling up and build control. Essentially you have 3 stats that you level up and a skill tree that branches out from those stats, as well as some combo based attacks for you and your wolf companion Ku, which we'll talk about. And it's a semi-open world game at the beginning that very quickly unfortunately turns into a very narrow rush to the end, if you will. I'm not sure why, and we'll talk about that a little later in the review. But this is Beast of Reincarnation. I played it on Xbox. There's a full playthrough on the channel. So I'm going to go ahead and skip through if I can. There you go, another issue we run into. You can't skip through a lot of the story. And that's part of the problem I found with the story in this game. There's a lot of it. There's a lot of playthrough. There's a lot of sitting and watching our characters talk to each other. They're in a vehicle right now called the Walker, which kind of looks like a walker from Star Wars that they travel around in. And the premise of the game essentially is you travel from different area to area for each chapter, and you're hunting a giant beast called a Nushi. And the Nushi is an animal that has been infected with something called the Blight that's taking over the world. It's kind of like a root-based flower contagion that's taking over everything, killing everyone. People that get infected with the Blight die. And Emma, the character we see right here on the screen, is who you play. She is what's called a vessel, so she's soulless, has no real history or background. She's shunned by everybody, and she is tasked with her helper companion wolf friend that they call Malfact, which are animals that have blight and become companions with what she is, a pacifier, to take away the blight. So her whole job is hunt down the big Nushi bosses, absorb their power, and make her way to the capital where the Beast of Reincarnation is expected to come back. So the Beast of Reincarnation happens every 100 years, and it destroys the earth. Vision kills everything and kind of restarts. So you are tasked with destroying the Beast of Reincarnation in the capital, but to do that, because she's one of the only ones that can, you have to absorb the powers of the Nushi. So that's the overall story. There's a real convoluted story though that happens, which is unfortunate, and it kind of ruins most of the game as far as story is concerned later on. But let's go through this first scene. So this scene is purely the tutorial scene. You'll see there's heavy reliance on parries. So most of your action is get a parry like this, And when you get parries, it builds up a special meter in your gauge. It gives you more abilities, including the ability to freeze time. It also gives you additional skill ability for your partner, Ku, the wolf, to do his special moves. He has all sorts of different skills that you can unlock and mix and match. They do different things. So here's Ku. You can see you get these choices. It becomes a bit of a quick time event where he can do his move and then you can do yours. And the gauge in the bottom right shows you his level. And if I press it again, you've got different ones. There's also emergency kit on the other side that will help heal you. So you can see how it almost feels like it's gonna be a Souls-like, just because of the combat move in it. There's a dodge, perfect dodge, and a perfect parry. The parry system is very forgiving, and I think that makes sense because so much of the game is built on parrying, because essentially you can't fight without parrying constantly. See how you have to do here. So you parry, and then you do a special move. Another piece that she has to her arsenal is her hair. So she does this thing with her hair where she can essentially use it. You can also hold and float up. And then along with your main combat, you've got his range moves. She has a bow and a bolt-based crossbow. So I think this is really why the game still is fun to play for the most part, and why, despite a really confusing story and some really bad acting, there's voice acting, it's very wooden. They do it on purpose because she's not supposed to have a soul, right? She's supposed to be this kind of vessel that's there just to absorb and do her job, and everyone treats her badly because of it. But because of that, it really comes off very kind of cold, and you don't really care about the characters, especially because the other characters are just as wooden. So this is the end of the opening sequence. This actually happens later in the game. You're going to replay this later, so you don't actually see too much here. Shaduo is one of the main problems with the game, which the combat is really fun. So the reason I played it for 25 hours and did enjoy most of my actual playthrough was combat. Combat's fluid, it's smooth, parry system's forgiving, you can do a lot. But where it runs into problems is more with some of the other elements around it. Story, very convoluted. Towards the end, I won't spoil it, but it gets into this very meta-based concept. It gets a little hard to understand, especially because you have this spirit beside you, Violet, the whole time, who's somehow connected to the Beast of Reincarnation. And the payoff just wasn't great. So that's one of the big problems with it. That's why you're going to see a lot of sort of 5 out of 10s and 6 out of 10s. The other big issue with it is variety. So it starts off really impressive. The first 2 chapters are interesting. They're semi-open world. There's a lot to find in it. There's interesting enemies in it. You've got some secret zones underneath. But where it starts to struggle is those enemies you meet in the first 2 or 3 chapters and zones are the only enemies you're going to meet for the entire game. There's only maybe half a dozen animal enemies, which are called Malfax. There's a deer version, there's a boar, there's a bear, a couple others. And the rest of the enemies you face are called these golems, which are essentially robots that have human souls in them, some corrupt, some friendly. All the corrupt ones are sword-based or arrow-based enemies, so you have range in combat. And that's really it. That's all the enemies for the whole game. So some games will do that. Hell Is Us had that same problem. The danger here, though, is the repeat. As you start to finish every zone and you fight the Nushi, you start to fight the same big bosses. So that one boss we saw at initial scene at the beginning, Shadow, you fight him and his Malfact beast 3 full times as a big boss fight, and then you chase his beast and fight that beast 5 to 6 times. Now the good thing is you learn his moveset so fast that by the end of it, or first try killing it, but it does get pretty repetitive, and it kind of feels like either they ran out of time or they just didn't have any other ideas, they kept using the same bosses. Now with Shudo, there is a story based. You're hunting him quite a few times. He gets involved. So I can excuse that. But they do the same thing with other bosses. The first big boss you fight, a big deer, who's really cool. You fight again. You fight a Taurus, like bull, at least twice. And the enemies that you do fight that are different almost all have the same movesets. So you get in this pattern where the bosses just look cool, but they're not hard. In fact, if you watch the playthrough, I only died a few times in the whole game, playing on normal. So that is an issue. Getting into a little more of the gameplay, so this is the first area you come through the village. You have what's called the camps, which are similar to anything, sort of bonfire style. From here, you can level up. So we'll talk a little bit about levels, because this is New Game Plus, so you can see I'm at level 50. And you have 3 main attributes that you can level up. Strength, Vitality, Fluorescence. Fluorescence is projectile, sneaking. It comes with a few different things. I focused on strength because she's mainly combat and health. And then there's skills, which we'll go into in a second. And then you also have Ku, who has his version. Him, I focused on fluorescence because there's more special moves he can do with it, better support for him, health, and not so much on strength. And then from there you have your skills. So when I go into a skill tree is cool. There's a lot here. This is actually the top skill that you get after beating the game. So I have not seen this skill before. You only get this when you beat the game. I believe it's a reincarnation skill. Yeah, so Blossom of Reincarnation gives us essentially a recharge or re-heal. So we come back. And you have lots of skills you can apply. These are all combat-based skills. So if you think like a combo, you can level them up. Right, so you can see here, this is a special move that she does. And then you can add range and speed to that move. Same here. And these are mainly combo-based. You can see there the button controls, which I use this one a lot. RB, 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 XX. So those are your combat moves in the tree. And then down here you have your skill sort of based enhancements based on those 3 level attributes, right? So I did not focus as much on this one. As you can see, I focused primarily on the combat driven one, the strength and some vitality. And then you have sub ones that go through. So if I just walk through one of this quickly, this is my strength one. It came with recovery boost effect. I've maxed this out. I leveled it all the way up to level 5, which you get skill points as you go along. So now I get an increase for my recovery, which is when I use my healing. This is the gauge. The gauge is a gauge you'll see along the bottom. The more you hit, the more you deflect, it grows. It lets you do special moves. It also lets you slow down time. And you just use all these. And then eventually, if you unlock both streams, multiple streams, you can get these special ones. So these just give you cool effects. I did like the tree. You know, I can see playing New Game Plus to unlock it all. But the problem with New Game Plus, and why I probably won't continue, is because of that enemy variety and how the story gets so narrow near the end. Same thing with Ku. So he's got same sort of structure, right? Lots of different things he can do. He does a lot of this automatically. There are a few skills that he will point. Let's go ahead and rest for no reason. And then you also have, if I pause it, you have your build. So the game itself is very limited as far as what you can do. It's a special swords, and we'll actually show this here. Acquire skills. Oh, so I can't increase. So you can upgrade your swords here naturally, but I can't do it yet because we're starting New Game Plus. We haven't met the Walker. But, you know, she only has one weapon type. It's a sword. Not the end of the world. Again, another issue with variety. What I did a lot, though, was a fire build, which worked really well for me. So I would put this on. You can see here we're missing quite a few things. We have not got the arrow yet. I've lost some of these, so we'll put these back on. So these are additional skills that she can do to enhance herself. Won't go into all of it, but they all do different things. For example, Final Infusion gives her entanglement gauge +1 at the beginning of doing executions. They all have different things you can do. Infernal End, which is a cool one, so that's burning enemies explode upon death. And then you have different outfits that she will wear that really just add a little bit of defense and unlock more slots, so you can add more things. Let's put on Last Lightning. Now what I tended to do is combine my weapon with something that Ku could do. So my main builds, I say Thunder is your strongest build with Thunder Sword. This is a New Game Plus weapon, so I've not tried that too much, but it restores your health. So essentially it's, like a leech, it'll add to your health. But if we go into, let's go into Sunrise, which was my go-to for most of the game. You can go in here, and then he gets all sorts of skills he will learn from books and from finding things, and you can add it. So I can add oil, bottle of oil, oil container. So he will throw oil on the enemies, and then when you use your sword that's lit on fire, you'll have them burn more. So there is some sense of build here. There's no build loadout. You can't keep different ones saved, so you have to remember like what you have applied to different things and play with a little bit. I didn't play with it too much. Resurrection I used quite a lot, so this gives you an extra life when you die. He will cover you with a resurrection. Temporary boost, there's another one that I had. Unfortunately I didn't keep them all after New Game Plus. Immunity, which is good for poison. There is natural poison, acid, different effects, just like your sword. Enemies will do it as well. No, I think we're fine. And then he has his skills too. So you can put on these different charms you'll pick up along the way, and then your different move sets. So a lot of this you get through the course of the game, and then each one of them will have an extra thing that he can add, a mod, which is what you're unlocking in his skill tree. I'm just randomly picking things here, but you can combo them. For example, this is a lightning skill. You could combine that with shocking vigor, right? You combine different things and play with it. End of the day, though, it didn't really matter too much. You get pretty OP. So right there, so he's hit me regeneration. If I was to die, which I won't this early, I would recover. Let's get rid of this guy. Where is he? There we go. So, other moves that you have, there's crouching to sneak up on people. You do get heals as you go along. There are chests that you can find. And along the way you have these golems you can talk to that will give you hints, tell you where things are, progress the story. So this is where the game starts really promising. You play this first couple chapters and it seems really cool. But what happens is as you go along through the story, the areas get smaller and smaller. The things you can find get smaller and less. And the last, I'd say, 3 chapters, I did in less than an hour each chapter, each zone. They're incredibly linear. Oh, interesting. So we already have Brad here. So Brad is the guy who rides the walker. Takes you along. You usually don't meet him, but we've skipped that scene. So here, parry system. Show you how to parry. And this is really the loop of the game, right? Parry, block, build up that gauge that builds on the bottom. You can see the bottom re-gauging. You can ask him to do things. You can see him. And then when you get enough, you can slow down time. Start doing your combos. So obviously, we're in New Game Plus here. This is a tutorial, so it wants me to do one of these. And then you can pick one of his moves. Finish it off. From the zone, you can see here, nice big map, lots of stuff you can do. We will rush ahead Let's see if we can see the first Nushi. I won't fight him here, but I will cut in one of my battles from the beginning of the game, and you'll be able to see him. It is a cool game. It's got some nice polish to it. It looks good, it plays good. The issues that it tends to have is around story and enemy variety, and boss variety especially. I think if they spent more time to give you more variety in the enemies, they didn't try so hard to rush the end and make it feel like you're rushing to like this giant climax that didn't really pay off, and you had more exploration, the game would have been a better score for me. I do hope they continue to do more. Like, I want to see a sequel, because I think they have something really interesting here that they could do more. But, you know, overall, I enjoyed it. I think people are being a little too harsh with some of their feedback on it. They're expecting everything to be perfect and amazing, and I was fine with it. So yeah, thanks for watching. Let me know in the comments below what you thought of the game and how you were liking it, and we will see you next time. As always, make sure to like and subscribe. Check out the other videos, check out the full playthrough. Keep playing. Don't let negative reviews on games turn you away before you really sunk your teeth into them. I still think it's worth a good playthrough. It's fun. It's got some cool combat. It's got potential. I know it was built by the team that makes Pokemon Go, so some people automatically get their snobbishness going on a game like that and just say it's not good at all. But it has potential, guys. Definitely has potential. It's not the best thing out there, but it's better than some of the games we've had recently. It is a fun, straightforward action game if you can get through the bad storytelling and the repetitive bosses. Bye for now, everyone.